Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to show you one of my little tricks that I use for some of my plants. If, say, I ordered a plant and it came in, like recently I ordered a plant, it was Coleus of course, and there was cold damage. There wasn't a heat pack in the package, so the plant was just not happy, very limp. It wasn't just the top portion of the plant, it was also the bottom portion, the roots. So what I do in a situation like that, I mean, in the past, like years ago, I would have said, oh God, what am I going to do? Let me put it in a warm place, and then it won't survive and it dies, and I just get upset. So what I realized is, since the top and the roots are probably damaged from the cold, at least a part of them are, I need to take a cutting, and I need to do it fast. So I took the plant, I took a cutting, and first thing I did was I took the cutting, I filled the sink with some room temperature or maybe slightly warmer than room temperature water. I blocked the drain so it stayed like a little pool, and I dropped my cutting in there. The cutting was very chilled, it was cold to the touch. So I put it in there and I left it for a couple of hours and I went about my business. Came back later, took it out of the water, and it was still very weak and limp, soft. Wasn't mushy, but it was soft. So I immediately took the cutting, and I'm going to show you the actual cutting right now. It's in much better shape. I took the cutting and I removed the lower leaves from that node, and that node. I took off those leaves entirely, and it was very soft. It was kind of bending, and I left 6 leaves plus the growing tip. Now, most times you don't need to do that. You could just leave 4 leaves or even just 2 leaves with a growing tip. I left 6 because the way I handle this, I know that they would be okay. The bottom leaves I cut in half. I removed half to kind of help it out, reduce moisture loss. And I immediately took my fast food cup, as you can see here, that I save. I save all my plastic cups, and I use them until they're not usable anymore, and then I recycle them. You don't throw them away because it's plastic. You need to recycle, right? So I took my cup and I put a little bit of water, a little pool of water on the bottom. I took my sad little cutting. I dried off all of the leaves extremely well, like dried them thoroughly. You don't want them to stay wet from soaking in the pool of water because they'll just rot. So I dried all of these leaves really, really, really well, and they were very soft, but I said, I know that you're going to bounce back for me. Then I put them in the cup with the water. Let me show you where that is. Okay, there you go. And, oh, I don't want to show that. They're not my sponsor. Then I cap it off with the cap that came with the cup, and I put it under LED lights. Not directly under, but kind of like the way this is here. You can see there's a light up here. Similar to this, except this isn't the grow space that I keep this in for now. Keep the room nice and warm, and in no time you will get roots. The reason why I didn't use the bag method is because the way that the bags are, too much of the cutting will be touching the side of the bag. A lot of times the condensation is more on one side than the other. If the leaves get too wet, they'll start to rot. The cups also have the straw hull that helps with air exchange. So as you can see, the top portion doesn't have a lot of condensation, the bottom portion does. This is a great way to save cuttings, whether they have cold damage, or if, let's say you took some cuttings of your favorite plants and put them aside and went about your business, did other things, and forgot about them for like an hour. You come back to those cuttings and they're going to be sagging. They're going to be very unhappy. This is a great way to handle that as well. But what I would do in that case is make a fresh cut at the bottom of the cutting before you put them in the pool of water to soak. And again, dry off the leaves very, very well and put it in your cup. I prefer the cup method as long as you have the top. If you don't have a top, you can use a bag on top of the cup, but for some reason the sturdy design of the cup really helps. It's minimal contact with the leaves, only at the very edges of the leaves, and it really seems to work. And I've been able to save so many plants, so many cuttings this way. The bottom portion of the plant I still have, and that I'm treating a little bit differently than this. I washed off the roots. Most of them were probably damaged from the cold. And I put the damp roots, and not in water, but they're damp, in a cup with a top. And there's some side shoots that are very limp and not very happy, but that portion, not so sure about, because the roots I know are going to start to rot, especially the roots that are no longer viable. But I know this cutting will survive, and this is the bulk of the plant. So I definitely recommend doing this, or at least giving this a shot, if you ever come across this issue, whether it's cold damage from a plant that came in the mail, or if you had a plant in the car for too long in the winter as you're driving and it gets damaged from the cold, or you take your cuttings and forget about them. It definitely works extremely well. What's going to happen with this plant is, once it gets some roots, I will then pop it into some lava rock like I have here. This is a newly transferred plant as well, and as you can see, the roots are starting to branch out. They're extremely happy. Same with these. These are all Coleus, by the way, of course, because that's my favorite plant in the world. So yeah, that is what I want to show you. Just a little trick that I use to resurrect my cuttings, or to save a plant that's been damaged by the cold when it's been in transit. So if you have any questions and you want to attempt this, just send me a comment and I will get right back to you. If you love Coleus as much as I do, leave a comment as well. I love talking plants, as you know, if you have seen any other videos. If you have questions on lava rock, then definitely hit me up for that as well. Share it with your friends, anyone that's a plant lover. If you have not subscribed, please do. We have a lot of fun here. And hit the bell if you want to be notified anytime I upload and all that good stuff. Give a thumbs up if you like this video, and I will see you in the next video.